happy Wednesday, East Hartford, and thank you for joining me for another version of Ask the Mayor. We do have a few questions today, and then I have an important update about the budget that I'll finish up with. So to start, our first question is from Joe, where Joe says, where can I read the email that was circulated by Councilman Don Bell calling out folks with different views? So thank you for your question, Joe. To answer that, I would actually strongly suggest that you reach out to Councilman directly. Their information is on the Town Council website, just like mine and other elected officials. Also, just want to take this opportunity to let you guys know anything said by the Town Council members, whether it's about ordinance, whether it's about laws, whether it's about politics. They are speaking, representing their own views, the views of the Town of East Hartford, not the views of Mayor Martin, myself. So their views are their views alone, whether you agree with them or not. But if you'd like to talk to Councilman Bell about that directly, you can absolutely do so. Thank you very much, Joe. Our next question is from Charles. It's more of a statement. Hello, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the information on the 2 other subway locations. Being a lifelong resident in the center of town, I can recall a Friendly's on Main Street, Burnside Avenue, and Silver Lane. Having 3 locations for a food place helped out people all over town. So thank you, Charles. That's a great point. I do acknowledge, the loss of some restaurants, but I also want to acknowledge with you the great restaurants that we already have here. And I continuously tout them. I dine at them myself. I always say that these are locally owned restaurants owned by East Hartford residents who are really just busting their tail to make a living. And so I ask that you give them a chance. Like I said, I know we've lost some restaurants in town, but we still have some really great ones that I, once again, frequent all the time. So give them a chance. I hear you loud and clear. We'll continue to try to pursue and get restaurants here in town, but please try and visit the ones that we already have here. Our next question is from Lynn, and this is a great question as it relates to budget since we're in the middle of our budget season. A neighbor told me that the town was giving $3 million to the Board of Education. With getting funds from the state and federal government, why are we giving them $3 million, and what will this do for our taxes? So that's a great question, and I actually want to read the next question too because I can answer both in the same answer. So the next one is from Aaliyah, and it is seems like a quote from the governor. Now that the governor has released the budget, will East Hartford lower the mill rate? And in the quote follows, we are trying to help our mayors and first selectmen hold the line on property taxes, which are high compared to our peers. We have significantly increased municipal aid over 8 budgets, including investments that have more than doubled funding for pilot grants. The budget further increases total municipal aid by $230 million over the biennium. And that is increased for all 169 million towns. So to answer both of those, we are in the middle of our budget season, and we did receive an increase in our municipal aid by $2.7 million. However, what the state also did is they changed the laws in how the state and municipalities can assess motor vehicles with a new depreciation schedule of 5% every year. In addition to that, they enriched the veterans tax benefit, rightfully so, an honorable exemption for our veterans. That also resulted in an increased exemption. All in all, this resulted in a tax revenue loss of over $2 million. And so the problem with that is, right, we got a little bit of municipal aid, but these tax exemptions, as well as the way that they're newly assessing motor vehicles, has decreased our grand list by 2.4%, which has once again resulted in a loss of over $2 million in tax revenue. To answer your question, will East Hartford lower the mill rate? Unfortunately, no, we will not be able to this year. We are looking at a 1.9 mill rate increase in this year's budget. This is the proposed mill rate increase. It's not the final. I do believe there will be an increase, whether it is that increase or not. But so far, that is the increase needed to cover the lost tax revenue that we got from the changes in state law as it relates to motor vehicle assessment and veterans tax exemption, and also to be able to contractually cover every one of our obligations here in the town of East Hartford. Per the question about the Board of Education, because of the budget constraints we're facing this year, our Board of Ed has been working really well with us to decrease their budget. Originally, their budget ask was $2.8 million. That's almost $3 million, as you had mentioned. However, through the good work of our superintendent and his team, they've been able to decrease that budget to $2.1 million. Some of that is due to the state increasing alliance grants. We are an alliance district, so they did get an increase in state funding to help decrease that original budget ask to the town. And so their current budget ask stands at $2.1 million. And yes, that is one of our biggest drivers of our budget increase this year. But as I mentioned, the big reason for why we're having to increase the mill rate this year is because of a loss in tax revenue due to changes in state law and how motor vehicles were assessed, in addition to the exemptions that our veterans rightfully get. So unfortunately, this year we will not see a decrease in our budget. We unfortunately will not see a decrease in our mill rate. That this budget is as bare bones as it gets. I've asked all directors to submit a flat budget to me outside of contractual obligations. And if you follow this process with us, you will see that this budget is only contractual and takes care of a lot of our long-term liabilities like our pension, our debt service, and like I said, providing investments into our school system so that our kids have a quality education. So unfortunately, I know that's not the best news that folks want to hear. But that is the reality of it. I've been very transparent about what our financial situation is. As you guys remember, we have a ton of economic development going on that I talk about every time we do an Ask the Mayor. And so we're on the right track. It's just going to take us some time to get there. So we're ready to work through the tough times, and we hope you'll do so with us. Our next question is not really a question, but it's more of a funny one. It's from Donna. And it says, please note, I no longer live in East Hartford. I live in South Windsor. Well, Donna, thank you very much for that statement. We wish you the best of luck in South Windsor. Our next question is from Gail. With the 2 dogs found abandoned and abused, one on Turtle Creek Lane and one on Daniel Street, is there any way your office can communicate with residents on the correct procedure of not taking, if you cannot take care of your dogs, example, bringing them to a shelter? Gail, great question. I think myself and much of our community saw the news article as well as the Animal Control's Facebook page of the dog that was being abused, the 2 dogs. And as a dog owner myself of a 4-year-old German Shepherd, I hate to see these type of things, but understand that maybe there's something going on with people and they can't take care of their dogs. So I think your question is a good one. And so I don't think it'd be a problem for us to partner with our animal control officers to figure out what kind of messaging we can put out so that, right, as you mentioned, if folks cannot take care of their dog, well, where can they bring them? Whether it's a shelter. If you guys know, we have protectors of animals here in town, down off of High Street. For anyone who has questions about that stuff, I would suggest that you give a call to our animal control officers so that, we can make sure that the dog gets a safe home to eventually live in. Our next question is from George. And George says, speeding and passing illegally, the yellow line present, has become an issue on Long Hill past the golf course. Is there any police presence that could start patrolling this area? So, George, the short answer is absolutely. And what I would suggest is that anytime that you see this stuff, you call 911. Notify the police department as soon as it's happening. They'll come out to that area and give it extra attention and pretty much start to address the bad driving behavior. In addition to that, George, you can also download the My East Hartford app, which is East Hartford's work order reporting system. And you can actually put in these traffic concerns that you're having. It gets diverted to the appropriate traffic officer who will do the exact same thing I just mentioned of going out, giving the area extra attention, and starting to address some of that bad behavior. I personally have been on a few ride-alongs myself with East Hartford, and we have actually went to address areas of concern that residents have brought to our attention. And I can assure you, we spent almost all of our time out there ticketing, pulling people over, addressing bad driving behavior, whether it was running stop signs, whether it was speeding, or even if you had tints. Our police will come out there right away. They will address the area to start to try to curb some of that behavior. So if you got a problem on Long Hill, George, either call 911 or make sure you enter it through the My East Hartford app. We'll come out and address it right away. All right, our last question is from Paul. Do we have a recycling person to enforce proper recycling using the blue bins? As a taxpayer who takes great care in recycling, perhaps some type of reward can be given for proper recycling, a tax break ? So, Paul, great question. I actually just saw some comments online about our recycling inspector going through people's bins. And so, yes, we have a dedicated recycling inspector. His name is Cesar. Wonderful employee. He goes out there, he inspects recycling bins to ensure that what is in the bin is solely recyclables. When they are not, it results in a contaminated load that we have to bring to our vendor who disposes of our recyclables. And eventually, and what it results to is a higher cost in having to dispose of that waste. And so when our recycling is contaminated, Paul, it results in higher taxes for our residents because we have to pay a higher fee to dispose of that contaminated load. So our recycling inspector will go out there. He will offer education to the homeowner directly. He'll go right up to your door and knock. Or if we see it being a chronic problem with a certain resident, we will no longer pick up your bin. We will red tag it. that lets our vendor know that they will not pick up your bin until you remove all of the non-recyclables out of that bin. Like I said, this is not to punish you. This is not to punish a resident. This is really to educate you guys. As I said, anytime we contaminate our own recycling, we pay the bill for it eventually through higher taxes. So it'd be important for all residents to be conscientious of what should be in a recycling bin and why. If you guys have any questions, please call the town. We will make sure we offer you education. We'll put a new sticker on your bin if it's needed to show you what should be in the recycling bin and what shouldn't. I know some of the stickers get faded over time, but yes, we have a dedicated person who is actively out there. Like I said, I saw comments online about the work that he's doing. But like I said, all in all, if we cannot curb your behavior, we just won't pick up your bin. So great question, George. Unfortunately, no tax break for those who do it right. But what it results in at the end of the day is it doesn't result in higher taxes. And that's really the better point of it. So, Paul, thank you very much for your question. All right, my friends, that's all we have for you today. Just want to finish up by reminding everybody we are in the middle of our budget season. So come out, learn what we're spending your tax money on. We do got a couple tough years ahead of us, being very honest. But once again, I think once you see what we're spending your money on, once you see how bare bones of a budget this is, you'll understand why we have a small mill rate increase and what the road ahead will eventually look like. So, all right, East Hartford, keep sending me your questions. Look forward to answering them, and have a safe and happy Wednesday. Thank you.